This is how you do it so easily, like it's nothing to you. Because this is part of what I do, and I don't want to do this forever, but I'm not being paid, so this is what I have to do. That's what it has to be. Alright, we're gonna close the no actually keep the leaderboard open. I'll keep the leaderboard open. Alright. Is it connected? Is connected. Alright, hello there, welcome to Frost's newest video. We're gonna be doing another one. We'll be reporting. I want you to look at this. No. Mr. Beast will get to this point in the video in 10 seconds. So this is Elizabeth Warren saying, I have questions for Mr. Beast. Elizabeth Warren on Beast Industries purchasing a kid banking app step. This is Elizabeth Warren finally taken to court Mr. Beast for basically getting himself in the business of around child gambling, right? It's child gambling. Mr. Beast is buying a company meant for child gambling, right? He loves gambling. He's done crypto before. If anybody who has been out of touch or maybe under a boulder, editor me put a picture of Mr. Beast involving himself with crypto and gambling. Yeah, he's not exactly known for always doing philanthropy. He's also known for doing scams, which are soon going to be scams if only the stupid government passes those crypto laws. But we're not going to take forever on it. What changed my mind on the perception of Elizabeth Warren was her adamant pride and courage to take on big pharma, right? And I had seen some comments down in the replies which opened my eyes to some of the arguments I'm hearing from people who clearly don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Now, this video is going to be me just basically seething, but also fact-checking the fucking oblivion out of his replies, and that's what I'm basically here to do. If I were paid more money for this, I would be taking money all the time, right? I would be fact-checking people whenever I want, because I know, like, this stuff is crazy, because then what I saw was nuts. I'm going to ignore all the ones here, right? It says right here, Elizabeth Warren, net worth 67 million. Elizabeth Warren, salary 285,000 US dollars. You clearly don't know how government works. You would wonder how long she's been working in government for. This is also a bunch of Republican bots. All of these are Republican bots. Here's also another one. You don't question the justifications for fraud, treason, betrayal, dishonesty, or non-existent integrity of your peers, but you question the choices of a free American civilian who calls himself Mr. Beast? You are some of the most retarded people I've ever seen on this platform. Number 1, Mr. Beast is an American civilian. Number 2, he is not above the law. Number 3, yes, he can seemingly get in trouble for fraud, treason, and dishonesty and non-existent integrity like everybody else does when they start a company and decides to do something like child gambling. Alright? Child gambling is not legal, should not be legal. And literally, even from these very surveillance laws, anybody, editor me put those photos, it is said that you cannot collect or gather information on children legally. You cannot. Why would child gambling be possible, but you can't collect the data of children on social media? You gotta look into that. So yes, and first off, she is criticizing her friends for the rampant corruption that they're doing. Yes, there are some corrupt Democrats out there. You must be fucking stupid or very slow and back in 2019. Another thing is, all this stuff, just rage, just bots, right? Here's another one. Quick Pharma Junta, start another one of your many go nowhere investigations. You are a bot. As a bot. Then it says something here. I don't think I've seen this woman speak when she hasn't been trying to take someone's money. Don't fool yourself. It is successful. It never reaches the people. It reaches her own $500 million bank account. Where are you getting your information from? And then look. The person's profile name is Republican Weeb with the photo of an alien. This is like a Facebook mom using a Twitter account. Then not only right here, people are judging whether she should have the salary that she's having. Why don't you look into the open secrets? There's literally a site for looking into politicians and how much money they take from pharma, from IPAC, all the corrupt companies you want to know. You want to get dirt on somebody? Look into open secrets. It will tell you so much. You're going to realize Donald Trump is the richest ass motherfucker who's taking the most money. you're gonna go, oh no, but he's Donald Trump, so it's okay. So she can't take from money from pharma and then later donate those donations over to she's donating all of those funds to charity. So y'all know there have been numerous cases where pharma purposely donates to people who are good, right? Where they have to literally reject the money and say, no, we're not taking your money, right? Those people will be forced to have to do that. And then people use that as dirt, saying, look guys, she took money from Big Pharma. You know what she did with that money? Many years ago, donated it to charity. Because she ain't taking just shit. If she's taking for IPAC, go on. Absolutely. Go haywire on her. If she's taking from IPAC, go all over her. You have the legal right to do that as a citizen. But we can't touch Mr. Beast. Really? What year are we in? 2015? Then we have more. This is my page here. I saw Deep Humor have an argument with Creekcraft in X, basically Twitter, right? I literally it was like a opening eye moment for me when I saw Deep Humor try to beef with Creekcraft. Deep Humor, look, not everybody's perfect, and let me tell you, you're wrong. What actually told one of the creators he follows that they're wrong? Yes, seemingly their creators that you follow are not always right. Sometimes they say something that could be wrong. Let me tell you, Deep Humor. Okay. This is my polite way, as my most polite way of saying as possible. What you just did with Creekcraft is considered toxic, right? I'm gonna explain to you. In my Creekcraft stand, no. Creekcraft also said something that should have been worded a different way. Let me tell you, Creekcraft could have said something a different way. He didn't do that. He failed. Deep Humor took the bait. Then he decided to get toxic, and then those two went down. And then here's my ending statement on those two for Creekcraft and Deep Humor, which, by the way, also hate censorship. Let's agree. We both hate censorship. We hate Roblox, right? We hate corporate Roblox. We hate censorship. This is what I said. Can we agree? You both hate censorship and hold hands. I say that jokingly. That all of us are tired of Roblox's games and lies together. Can we do that at least? Because you both are good creators and we should not fight each other. I mean Deep Humor and Creekcraft. You guys report the news for me. And then I insert the Suisei Hosimache reaction image, right? Look. As creators in a place where the world is kind of in a really rough spot right now, we should basically not fight together if we want to make a difference. Alright? As creators who are really rampant about hating corporate culture, we should probably not fight each other, right? Because that's what they want. Every billionaire wants people like me to fight with all other creators and basically say that they're all bad and that we should fight each other. I usually side up with lots of people who are smart enough to be able to do things like what Deep Humor or Creekcraft does, because I've been watching them for quite a few years. And let me tell you, Deep Humor has had really toxic eras in his channel before. Yes, he's not innocent. And Creekcraft has said some insensitive things before. Yes, he has said some. But in general, what they have, their message and their purpose is a lot more safer than me believing in some kick creator. Alright? A kick creator would be fully embracing all evil aspects of humanity. Right? That's why you don't see me going around saying this kick streamer is good. None of them are good. None. Stop glamorizing them. Another video for another day. Then we have Obama, right? We have an announcement from Obama, the man himself. He's still posting. Well, his crew, his social media crew, and himself is still posting. Most politicians usually post themselves or a crew would post for them, right? Here is Obama saying, it was inspiring to watch Artemis 2 launch yesterday, NASA's first crewed mission in around the moon since 1972. Our space program has always captured an essential part of what it means to reach beyond what we thought was possible, and I hope the 4 brave astronauts on the mission will inspire a new generation to follow in their footsteps. We basically finally sent a rocket, right? We had a launch, and we sent an actual crew into space. A crew into space to go around the moon. After a very long time, we had an actual crewed mission going around the moon, right? Real human beings, not a test shuttle, not like a test whatever, right? It's real human beings. Nobody died. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. So far. I'm still looking into that information. Nobody died, right? It's safe. It's all good, and I really want to talk about space sometime, but the world isn't always the way you want it to be. Here's Takinashi Kira giving us inspiration. If you want to, you can look into it if you want. She posted it. She said, no matter how talented you are, you might not end up being successful. And remember, there are some people who still don't understand that. Let me tell you, there's still people who think that look, I have numerous skills that should be putting me at a CEO level, right? I should have been a CEO of a company with the amount of skills I have. Am I successful still? No. You want to know how many kick streamers are successful? You want to know their usual average intelligence? Their IQ? Usually less than 110. Isn't that crazy? They're still millionaires, but they're more stupid than I am. Crazy. And just so you all know, that's what she means, right? You could still be absolutely a smartass, but you could still not be successful. That's what sucks about the world, because it's currently rigged against you. But all different story for another day. Then what she says, what's needed then is either incredible luck with algorithm or support from others to push you towards where you need to be and deserve to be. It's frustrating when you have neither of those. Exactly. That's what I said. Look, is the algorithm on my side? No. Are there people IRL who want to push me towards success? To put me in a place where I deserve to be? No. There was never. Is the algorithm supporting me on YouTube, maybe on Instagram, maybe Facebook, maybe Blue Sky, maybe Twitter, maybe those... No. Still the answer is currently no. Alright, so we have here, Roblox will be renaming connections to friends on April 7th. GG's. Absolute peak, absolute banger. I hope we see that soon. And then we have one of our final news here, which is Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez reporting on basically Pam Bondi's firing. Says that's nice, still doesn't get her out of testifying to Congress about the Epstein files. Where are the Epstein files? Then it says, we must also investigate the continued breaking of the law around the DOJ still hiding the Epstein files from the public. This isn't over. Yes, this isn't over. It says right here, breaking. President Trump has fired Attorney General Pam Bondi, a senior administration official and a source familiar with the matter. Tell NBC News. There's more on it. You can all search all about it, right? There's still more on it. And that's all I have to say is... First off, Mr. Beast should be investigated for basically trying to start a child gambling empire. Number one, kids shouldn't be gambling. No. You want to know the horrible amounts of medical information and research and articles I can pull up showing what gambling does to children when they start very early on? Let me tell you, nowhere good. Should teenagers gamble? Get the fuck out of here. As much as you want to put age restrictions and age grouping and all these steps to, basically censor the feeling of living out of everybody, gambling is the absolute last thing I need to see teenagers do. You want to know what happens when teenagers happen to gamble? Well, if you're a teenager who has been gambling with any form of thing like cards, money, or casino, or in-game currency gambling, if you're something like that, look at yourself right now and tell me you're doing fine. Oh, you're not? Interesting. Seems that medical information and research is not that far off. That's why we don't do child gambling or teenage gambling. Usually it's done to adults. Should adults be doing it? No. But for some reason it still exists, and it's a thing that's been around for like, what, over 100 trillion years. So what can I do about adult gambling? Teenage and child gambling? No. Why is it a problem when Elizabeth Warren investigates Mr. Beast? And funny enough, all the conservatives started rounding up on Elizabeth Warren. And you know what that tells me? Mr. Beast has a large conservative fan base. I tell you, if he has hundreds of millions of followers, at some point, lots of them are conservative freaks. Or bots. And let me tell you, the amount of botting I've been seeing on streams, woo! The amount of botting look, the Burnt Peanut literally bots the streams, right? The Burnt Peanuts bots the streams. XQC bots the streams. I Show Speed bots the streams. Same for Kaisenet, he does it too. Aiden Ross bots the streams. Asmongold bots the streams. Tectone, Chibi Reviews, they bot their stuff. Every conservative you see around you, they bot their streams. You know Ludwig? He's a moderate Democrat, and he also bots his streams. Isn't that insane? Well, but it doesn't exist because I like the content creator, so therefore you're wrong, Viz. Shut the fuck up. Every time somebody says you're wrong, I'm like, you're still wrong. I could seem very chill, but I'm always going to be pissed off at the people who clearly don't do their research. You know, that's why I call them newborn comments. They're like newborn comments because they type in what they think at first in the comment, and then they just proceed to disappear, right, and not do their research. And whenever you give them attention, they basically literally go back to saying a bunch of brain rot. And that's why, therefore, if you're gonna play those games with me, I've played those games before, insert meme, and because I played those games before, I therefore will use the same exactly on you. Therefore, what I said to you earlier throughout that comment is considered brain rot to me, and I consider it newborn commentary. Now, I'm going to go back to being nice for me for a second. Alright, I'm going to go back to nice for me. Let me stop being heated and all that and intense. I've already done too much intensity. Okay, here we go. I think my games should be resetting it now. I think I went on for like 15 minutes or something. Alright. Alright, we're back to nicer me. Nicer me. Alright, this is nicer than Projecttian, right? So, good news. I have recently went on a trip, got myself some new stuff, new tech for my music, specifically for my music. My keyboard needed an upgrade, clearly it did. And fortunately, the keyboard I bought, which I saved for the past 8 months back in 2023 over to 2024, was totally worth it. It was. And it comes with a mid-eye connector device, which basically, as long as I have a mid-eye wire with a type A USB, I should be settled. And I bought myself an adapter so that I use the adapter, which is a type USB-C, no, USB type A over to USB-C, and I connect it to my phone, and it should basically detect all of my inputs from my keyboard and place them onto my phone, which is crazily going to affect how my music will sound, dependent on if I want to keep it as beats or I want to do live play. And if it is live play, what this does is that this wire also can connect to my PC, and the PC, meaning I can actually play on my computer and use my headphones and not have to have the piano make the sounds out loud, right? I can just record a piano, right, in solitude and have my headphones activated, but also have a more accurate representation of the mid-eye that I'm hearing played from my piano with the input from the mid-eye cable with the adapter connected to my phone, to my headphones, in recurring. So this means a huge jump in my musical prowess, as always, and that third bonus mode Remelo will finally be more accurate to how I want it. And why it's taking me so long is because not only is the composition of the third bonus Remelo a bit complicated for my taste, I have a composer helping me put it together, right? It has to sound a little more classical, and I also wanted it to be 30 minutes long. Plus, it with that update with my mid-eye controller, with the wire that came with it and adapter I had bought with it, it will make those parts where it's supposed to have a solo, right, a piano solo, more possible. And I badly needed a more natural touch to my piano solos, and my piano solos have always been a sort of lackluster and very mid-eye sounding, and so I badly needed something where you can actually genuinely feel what my piano's genuinely playing. And I needed that. I badly needed that, so I have a higher range sort of, and I can finally achieve those things. Now, another is that I also got myself a new device, a more speaker, so that I don't no longer have to sweat outside wearing my headphones when I walk out really fast. So in case somebody lives nearby in the area I'm at and you found me outside, well, I guess I'm screwed. But also, I no longer have to wear headphones outside when I exercise, because then what's so cool is that now that I have the speaker, funny enough, I used to have a speaker before this, but it was lost because somebody decided to take it and forgot where they placed it, and I lost my old speaker. But now I have a new speaker, so now I can go outside, exercise, and also sweat, right? And not damage my headphones, which I pay, which by the way cost over $300. Yes, that's how much it costs to get a Skull Candy Crusher headphones. I'm gonna soon get a special type of tape to wrap around it so that it doesn't, rip further. I'm gonna try to find some very safe glue and then some silver lining layering with plastic, right? So that whenever I put it on, it doesn't, pull my hair, because whenever you do put glue on it, that's very safe. Like no matter how much little, if it's like exposed openly, your hair will get tangled, and because I have really tall hair, it usually will get tangled if I don't, be careful. And even if I close it off, it still will pull on my hair. Like at random point, a small thread of hair is gonna get stuck, and then I'll have to pull it. It's gonna hurt. So that's why I have to definitely get some tape that's really thin for it. I can wrap around it where you can barely feel it. I'm gonna try to put something like tape on top of tape, so that whenever it does, go around, it doesn't pull. Right? It's a specific, more X crisscross formation with it. Along with that, now that music's more easily done, right? I can make it more sound more natural. I've also got myself a few other things like wires. So in case anybody wants to, well, this has been happening. People would have cars where they have like type A charger inputs, and with type A inputs, I'm basically screwed, because the wire usually is more USB-C to USB-C, and if your car has more type A to USB-C plug-in, I'm basically screwed. Good thing I got myself a new type A to USB-C wire, so in case somebody does have a car and they say, hey Viz, plug it in, now I actually can plug it in. Cool. Nobody needs to care about that, but I'm still saying it because future me is going to look at this video and go, oh, he actually had a more calmer segment. I'm still talking at a certain volume, but I certainly, nothing's the same, right? I also been working really hard with trying to put together the TPMT system, right? The transformation after prime magnus. So it's sort of complicated around there, right? We still have like the file deity scale system, which is a whole different story. I still have to do with all the filing stuff, all the project stuff. Alien Races Explained has definitely been in the works. Alien Races Explained is a document that I'm still putting together. And let me tell you, putting together 50 different plus alien races together is not the easiest thing. And it requires lots of patience, lots of boring going back and forth, connecting the dots and making sense of it. And before anybody says, wait, but haven't you said you finished it? Yes, when I finished it, I originally had it all written. And unfortunately, when I'm putting it into documents, like a virtual document, if I don't make it as specific as possible, people will get the alien race wrong and assume things about alien race. So I have to make sure that it's really as distinct as possible whenever I put it down. And for those who ask me about the global censorship war, the global censorship war is still going on. As much as people want to give up on making a difference to make sure governments repeal their dumb age verification laws, I'm still going to be fighting it. 5-6 more years, don't care. I will continue to fight. I got you. And to spread more message of more positive liking, editor me. I'm going to say that 3 times so that you know. Whenever editor puts this, make sure you place an image of the current happening around the Copyright Office. The Copyright Office recently had a third of its people leave the project, basically. And right now, they're starting something new as a new copyright movement, because currently, assuming, for legal reasons, this is my opinion. AI Bros must have been basically altering how copyright should work, even to the copyright level, the basic copyright level, around its representation and interpretation for prior or future court use. And with that in mind, I can certainly assume that all my assumptions, in my opinion, for legal reasons, have been slowly proving itself together when I said at some point somebody was going to find loopholes in the system and abuse that. I told people since 2018 to change the copyright representation, the way it's represented or used, or from corporate entity to military entity or whatever entity in the future. At some point, AI is the most effective way to automate fraud. And I told them, and they finally, after many years of waiting and continuously telling people, hey, copyright is outdated, somebody's going to abuse it, they do action on it, and it's better than nothing. Actually, I could get mad about how long it took them, but getting mad at each other is just not the right thing at the moment. If I'm going to team up with smart people, I shouldn't fight them, unfortunately. As much as I want to nitpick their small, qualities that might suck, look, we all hate censorship. We hate AI tech bros that are just currently blatant and abusive and rampant and wrong and just immoral and taking people to war, lobbying for surveillance, and lobbying for payment processing discrimination. As much as I criticize Republicans, if I must be positive and optimistic, look, Republicans hate censorship too. As much as they skew what freedom of speech actually means or what freedom of press or freedom of expression is, I agree with them. We hate censorship altogether, right? Republicans hate censorship. They hate it. Nobody wants the people or the huge payment processes like Visa and MasterCard touching our games, our books, media, our posts in the press. Video games, music, art, all should be protected underneath freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and freedom of the press, and should be protected freedoms of privacy. Incurred with that along the way should be packaged together so that people have a more fairer platform to make content on. We also, it comes to the matter of fact, is that currency is being damaged periodically. And I've been looking into people who might be wanting to involve themselves with this. And there are all sorts of people from around the world, let me tell you, who are happy to oblige to doing something about the thing that's currently happening. It is hard to find people who are dedicated to putting their time to fight against all the injustice, especially fight against the injustice, act against the justice, organize against the injustice, right? And I said justice for the other one because most people's definition of justice isn't the exact same thing. So we have to make sure we have this similar message, similar narrative, and similar story going on. Just as the government likes to say it's for the kids, that we're protecting the kids, they're not. They're protecting their private corporate entity equity interests and are abiding by their stocks. A lot of them also don't want stocks to be involved into their government or their political racing and political financing. Political financing has been screwed over since the 80s. I can tell you that. Thank you, Jerome, for making the politics even harder than it should be. And the taxes on the rich should be done. Regardless if you think the economy will fail on you, Mr. Gavin Newsom. Look, our schools suck. Alright? Schools suck. That means the teacher is not being paid either. The teacher thinks teaching sucks. Right? Our education sucks. Our healthcare sucks. It doubled in cost. Alright? Admit that. You're Republican or Democrat or independent. You need children. You want to have children. It's too expensive. Can we agree on that? You want to start a family? It's too expensive. Can we agree? It doesn't matter if Joe Biden and Donald Trump did it. Can we agree? You can't have a child in this economy. I'm at the age where in the next year, so y'all know, in the next year, I should have had my first child. You know why I say that? My father had me at 21, 22. Right in that time span. Yeah, crazy. I did the math. I'm right now close to the age when I should have been in my mother's belly. Crazy. Do I have a child now? No. The economy is terrible, horrible, horrendous. Everybody can agree oil and gas is horrible. We're too dependent on oil and gas. Is that true? Can everybody else agree on that? Oil and gas is horrible. We're too dependent. If the oil and gas goes low, everybody in this country is screwed. You all admit, gas prices are too high. Joe Biden, Donald Trump, doesn't matter. Oil and gas, too dependent, too expensive. Can we agree that the oil and gas giants of the oil industry and gas industry, because they're both combined, are too powerful and should be split and should be fined for all their actions? Can we agree infant care sucks? Infant care is too expensive. You're gonna pay 90K? I don't think so. Most of you can't get 90K. As much as you want to say it. Can we agree college and university sucks? It's too expensive, you'll be in debt. If you finish it with full straight A's, you'll still pay interest. Regardless, you'll still have to pay the debt for staying. You want to get a dormitory, it's still expensive. Housing costs in dorms and condos, you're still paying too much for them. Can we all agree housing sucks? As much as you say that my cousin might have a really big house because the economy is affordable and you're Republican, can you agree you're the one who doesn't have a house and your cousin who is richer has a house? So does it mean the economy is fair for everybody if you don't have that big house your cousin has? Exactly. So the economy for housing sucks. As much as Republicans want to place themselves in a place where they say everything's okay, is groceries getting cheaper? I don't think so. Why is your cousin able to afford more groceries? Because he has more money than you. That doesn't mean the economy's better. He has more money than you. Okay? Admit it. You're poor. I'm poorer than you. I'm poorer than most people I know. Does that consider me poor? Yes. Yes. Is my ownership high? Yeah. I have high ownership, but is my current residual estate value low? Yes. Low. Absolutely low. Is my net worth high? No. Is my possessions worth everything? Yes. Is my job worth everything that I do on YouTube, even though it doesn't pay me as much as it should be? If I get paid more, does that change who I am? No. If you're a Republican, I admit, sometimes you think the creators that you follow are kind of assholes. They're kind of assholes. Admit it. Look, yes, you hate leftist content creators. Alright, let's do something about that. What do you think that leftist content creators should do to make content and their news reporting more better, more factual, and more amazing, more awesome for you to enjoy? What can make leftist films or DEI films better? If you're a Republican, let's say I agree with you. What can we do to make movies better? What should we do? Invest in creators. We should invest in those companies. We should invest in indie power. Can we agree that we can invest in indie power? Because you think Disney and Pixar movies are boring. Alright, relatable. Indie power. Should we attack leftist or rightist content creators for being absolutely horrible at their job in the indie creator industry? No, I don't think so. I think we should rather invest in them and educate them to do better. I think educating people right now in this world is sort of the very thing I think people should be focusing on, is educating people for the better. If we can't educate them, then everything that they'll do would be a result of our negligence. And to be the one to admit that, look, I have educated numerous people during my time on YouTube. And very soon in June, I'm going to have my 10th anniversary, right? My 10th anniversary is this June for Roblox, mainly on Roblox. And the amount of stories I can tell you about the amount of people I've met are lots. And all of them had lots of really similar endings to their stories, is that they're all working class, middle class Americans, regardless if they're immigrant or not. They're still Americans and they're still hardworking families. And even if you had removed the country aspect of their name and said that they're just a human being, all human beings deserve the best for them. And if we can't agree on that, then you should therefore get out of my face. But good news, I think people are working together more. Our No Kings protest was 8 million in full, breaking records for the largest ever protest done in a singular day. If we want to say a singular day burst for No Kings Day, is the biggest one. We broke records, we had passed our message, and I think that's a really good thing. And I can't say much more. I say that's really cool, hopefully, and I hope to see all of you there. Hope to see you guys soon in the future. I hope to see some really cool people. This is positive me, so you all know this is me being positive and extremely optimistic. even in times of despair, chaos, pain, and suffering, and people fighting each other or getting into fights physically, even, or arguing on the internet about some really niche things, as much as everybody wants to argue you're all human beings and you should deserve to live. As much as I want Donald Trump to pass away in Minecraft for legal reasons, I have to say that. As much as I want to pass away, look, there are some people who I think are Republicans who can be changed. If you could, look, if you convince them, like Zoran Mamdani does over the Siwa, right? As long as you can convince a Republican guy to change over to democracy, I think you're a crazy, crazy person that are going to achieve really good things in the future. I hope that's the truth. Look, there's some Republicans out there that I know that, as much as I say that the Republican Party is all slitcher right now in a majority of sense, there are some good Republicans like Massey who hates that Donald Trump and wants the Epstein files to be released, and he is supposedly the Republican member for the majority party, and he wants the Epstein files released. And somebody sent me a message. What I want to say to you is that have hope. Hope is some of the things that we're lacking of as human beings who live on the same planet. So sure, you all know we live on the same planet apparently, and if this planet happens to go in a worse place, I know that's not a real word. I'm sorry, that's not a real word. I mean worse place. It could be worser. Now it makes sense to use that. Look, if the planet was to go into a nuclear war or World War III, would you be happy with the Democrats and Republicans? I don't think so. I think we would say, hey, why are you sending my children or my best friend over to war? But you would probably be asking that instead. You would literally forget politics existed and just go, war is bad. Nobody deserves to die. Why are you sending them to war? That would be the first thing. Admit it. There, you have a big brother who's probably 20 years old, and you're like a, 15, 16-year-old conservative teenager who happened to fall upon a conservative echo chamber, right? And you notice your 20-year-old brother who you respect, who you were inspired by, gets sent to war. First thing that happens, because they start a war draft, World War III started, and your brother who's 20, usually the first year to be sent to war by draft, is a 20-year-old. And he's sent to war, and you voted for Donald Trump, and you're like, wait, didn't he say we don't want wars? You would then start wondering if it's about politics in the first place. And you'd go, it was never about politics. It was about the top corporate and private equity interest the entire time. It was never right, red, or blue. We have Democrats who are also voting for war. Look at John Fetterman. John Fetterman's a Democrat. He loves war. If he starts a war, if he applies and says, hey, let's start a war to distract us from the Epstein files or the economic issues of our country, if he said that, is the first thing that happens is that he sends my cousin from a different city of mine in Florida, and he sends them to war because he's like 22 or 21 years old. If he sends them to war, you know what will be my first reaction? Oh, the Republicans did this. No, I would just say, oh, the politicians, the corrupt politicians did this. It would stop being, oh, it would be Republican or Democrat. Fetterman, the Democrat, said yes to war. The Republican said yes to war. Would I be then accusing the Republican Party? Absolutely not anymore. By the time we get into war, it's about who lives, who will fight, and who escapes. The first thing I'll do is, and I will say this for legal reasons, in my opinion, in this channel, in my opinion, for legal reasons. This is not me making a statement, this is me making my opinion. If a war like World War III were to start and they try forcing draft on people, I'm basically the second people in row to be sent to war because I'm 21 very soon this May. On May 19, I have my birthday. So I'm basically second in line after the first 20-year-olds will be sent to draft by force, right? If it ever does, in my opinion, I'm not going to be in this country to live to see it, and I'd rather be put behind bars than kill somebody innocent from Iran. I couldn't see myself killing somebody. I couldn't see myself assaulting or throwing a bomb, closing my eyes, I couldn't see myself killing somebody. No. You're gonna put me on reconnaissance or something, or comms, or tech or something like that? Nope. I'm not supporting a war. I'm not fighting for a fascist. Put me behind bars. I don't care how long you put me in there. Put me in there. I'd rather be with criminals than fight for a fascist who is operating a government of criminals. So no, I will not fight and beat up people or even help people beat up other people or kill them. I'm not gonna send people and direct them over there to some certain part in Iran or Iraq or whatever to tell them, hey, go shoot up this squad of people over there passing over into the country. I'm not there. You're not gonna see me there. I'm not gonna be touching any of your bombs. I'm not gonna be touching your equipment. I'm not touching your guns, and I will not fight and lose my life for a country run by a fascist. No. Any of my cousins, if they try forcing my cousins in there, fuck off. Put me behind jail cell, bars, immediately. If they're gonna join the jail with me, they can join the jail with me. They're not fighting a war for a fascist. That is my final statement on this. Nothing else. Nobody is gonna fight a war. I can tell you, Gen Z is not gonna fight this war. I bet they will go for Gen Z, and they're gonna send their private police ICE agents to do it for them. I know how it works. It's always send the private police to break down the door and send them to the draft. I'd rather go behind jail cells. I'd rather commit a crime than go fight a war. Sorry, it's just not my thing. Every Gen Z nearby you, I bet they're gonna tell you they're not gonna fight the war. And if they do, they're gonna regret it. That the first month that they are in the war zone, they're gonna tell you, oh, I fucking regret this. Take me back. Trust me, there are some who I know who are gonna say, I'm just gonna join it for the sake of it. We're like, I'm gonna get paid. They're gonna pay my college, right? They're gonna pay me. They're not. You think this fascist regime is gonna pay you to fight the war? You should go look at the Pete Hegseth's statements about war. He literally called the department of the military department for sending people, recruiting troops and soldiers for Navy or stuff like that. He called it a department of war for a reason, so that whenever you fight, you're not remembered for your effort, you're not paid, you're not going to get respected, you're not going to get a Medal of Honor, you're just going to be disposed of and put into a pit filled with dead bodies. Be my guest. If you want to be in that pit of dead bodies, go ahead, fight the war. And let's see how much they pay you. Hope it's a living wage. Exactly. So I went from like negative to positive to negative, but that's just how it is. When it's war, I think everybody loses a war, nobody wins war. Simple as that. Is this religious? No, fuck off. So it is currently 12:24 p.m. Eastern Time, April 3, 2026, and I'm recording this. In the next 10 days, my braces will be removed as well. And I'll be basically having some sort of thing that helps me keep my teeth straight and whatever. But besides that, I guess that is all. It happens, I guess, in the morning. So I guess I might not be making... I might make a video in the same day it happens. I might be a video after the dentist visit. I'll be taking photos, but it might be after, I think. So yeah, if they're just like removing my braces, I bet they're just gonna remove the brackets and like removing the glue. Hopefully that's all they do. But when I searched about it, it looks a bit more different. It depends on like the patient. So hopefully they don't do something strict. If they try doing something strict, I cannot. I want to use my tooth. I want to eat broccoli. Look, trust me. Look, if I'm gonna start speaking like Gen Alpha, give me a sec. I'm gonna speak like Gen Alpha or like young Gen Z. Okay, bro. Whenever I get that appointment, shoot it. Like whenever they fix my teeth, they're gonna remove the glue and the bracket, and then, like, to be honest, I hope they didn't do on God like anything too bad. Like, bro, I don't trust those tweezers. I don't trust those tools that they have. Like, it's that shit scary, right? And like, it's just not a thing for me. And honestly, I hope they only do that and just remove the brackets and glue. And that's all I need. My teeth kind of doing good. I kind of chill with it. My teeth are kind of fine right now, and I don't need anything else. And I will post about it. I'll do it on the TikTok or whatever, on like Reels and Instagram, post about it. I guess it's the end of a journey by then, and going back to my regular self. Okay, back to my regular self. So that will be the end of my teeth will be finally done after years. Not perfect, but better than nothing. I'm not gonna go through 2 years of more adjusting. And that's it. 45 minutes. I can go on for 8 hours, but not. I need to make